So Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder and CEO of the failed crypto exchange FTX, you all might remember that in November 2022, he was arrested along with a number of his employees and co-conspirators here, and they were charged with. He was charged with numerous counts. I believe it was 7 total. On conspiracy and fraud. Basically, what had happened was people had left their crypto with FTX, like you would a bank, but this is a crypto exchange, and they held it there to hold in their FTX wallets. And what FTX did was they sent those funds they were holding to their sister company, Alameda Research, which basically would make bets and sort of risky bets, very risky bets on the crypto markets in order to make a profit. And they did a very bad job of it and lost a lot of their customers' money. I think it was, oh God, I don't remember off the top of my head right now, but it was billions.
8 billion. 8 billion is the fraud, the claim of the amount of fraud that he engaged in.
Right. So today was the sentencing. He was previously found guilty, and he's been sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. Now, some people are going to say they're unhappy with that. He should have got more. I believe the prosecution was looking for around 50 years. Bernie Madoff got like over 100 years or something like that. SBF basically ran away with half of what Bernie Madoff did. So you would think that he would get half that sentencing. But, and you can say that he should have been sentenced to more time, or you can easily make the point that people get sentenced for much more than 25 years for much smaller crimes, drug offenses, for example. But, one thing you can't say is that 25 years is a slap on the wrist. 25 years for a 30-year-old like SBF is a huge chunk of his life. And for anyone who's going, oh, he'll be out in half or whatever on good behavior, actually, no, he cannot, because this is federal prison. And in federal prison, you must at least serve 85% of your sentence. So minimum, if SBF is an angel, he'll be serving at least 21.5 years. Again, I don't think that's a slap on the wrist, especially based on how old SBF is.
Yeah, no, I think the prosecution, right, was seeking 40 to 50 years. They also, based on the updates on CNN that I was following right before we started the show, they were, the judge kind of laid into him about lying in different instances as well, right? And not being forthright with the court, if I'm not mistaken. Did you see that, Binder? Yeah.
Yeah, he really tried to portray himself as someone who didn't care about material wealth because of his what altruism thing that he had going on. Effective altruism. Again, this is a guy who had purchased a huge mega mansion in the Bahamas where him and all of his closest executives lived and, did other things there.
Yeah.
But this is a guy who stole money from a lot of people who, and again, some of the testimony from people who lost money, you do feel bad for some of them. I know you can think, on this show we criticize crypto speculators and stuff. But when you read some of these testimonies, some of these people weren't even like crypto traders. They just were investing in Bitcoin without like trading it. Like this is where they would put a chunk of their money, hoping that would raise, and then eventually they would have a nice little fund for their kids or whatever, and they lost it all.
You have people like Kara Swisher. Who is she with? Is she with Bloomberg or a tech journalist talking about, or at least running ads? I can't remember which. This is a retirement investment.
Yeah.
Right? You had all these people from Spike Lee to Larry David being like, this is the cutting edge of finance. You do right for your family and get your money in here. I don't blame the people at all on that stuff.
No, Larry, was basically the only person to, I think, thus far say something like, I made a big mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I didn't listen, to the right people. And I appreciate that Larry did that.
Matt Damon should too. Matt Damon should.
Brady should.
I'm not expecting much from Tom Brady.
You're right. Well,
yeah, Tom Brady's a little bit in the scammer, and I think he lost. Didn't him and Giselle lose a lot of money through this stuff?
Well, that's what Larry was saying, was that he was getting paid in crypto too. So I don't think that he really.
You fools.
Yeah. So
I mean, a lot of these guys, like what's his face from Shark Tank? What's his name? Mr. Wonderful, whatever his name is. He openly said that he was paid in cryptocurrency on the FTX exchange for his endorsements of FTX, lost that money, and then willingly came out and said he fully trusts SBF and would invest in him again. I mean, these guys don't learn their lesson. I mean, some of these guys do deserve to lose their money.
He's been all over cable defending Trump, so he really knows how to pick him. This is this confidential document from within the company. Can we put this up here? This is pretty incredible.
Yeah. So this was a proposed thing that went around. I can't remember. I don't know who exactly. Maybe we can find the details of who wrote this. But no, these are all probably bad ideas that aren't vetted, confidential. And it's just interesting to go through some of the ideas that SBF was going through. So number one, file a doc.
To be clear, this is how Sam Bankman-Fried thought he would be able to get out of his problems as things were starting to crumble for FTX. Like how he thought he'd be able to get the media behind him, because that's what he thought. Like when FTX filed for bankruptcy in November 2022, he later came out and blamed the legal experts that told him to do that because he felt that he could have raised enough money if he had to give himself a little bit more time to make everybody whole again. Basically read it as he would have gotten more money from investors to bet again, hoping to win back what they had lost. I mean, this is the guy who clearly didn't learn his lesson.
If you read this here, this is clearly a genius at work. I mean,
right.
Tucker Carlson's not spelled correctly, but
Yeah, no, but number two, go with the quote, lawyers were in a shitty situation. I feel really bad about that. And like most people do, they reacted poorly to difficult circumstances. So that's
narrative.
The lawyers. I love the use of the word narrative here because people that complain about narratives often just want to feed you a bullshit narrative.
Yes, right.
3, go on Tucker Carlson, come out as a Republican. A, while the public contributions show one thing, you see another thing, including super PACs. B, come out against the woke agenda. C, talk about how the cartel of lawyers is destroying value and throwing entrepreneurs under the bus in order to cover up the incompetence of lawyers. So now I love that class war of lawyers versus entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I gotta say, entrepreneurs, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Like, don't go after the lawyers. They're actually like kind of a big asset.
Also, I love the transition from the lawyers were in a shitty situation, I feel really bad about it, to time to throw the lawyers that were incompetent under the bus.
And just to be clear,
also,
this was from a week or two ago, a court filing. This was like an exhibit, like a Google Doc that SBF had made that was included in one of these court filings.
Really, just what a mind to see the inner workings.
It was to show, where his mind was at for the sentencing, because his lawyers tried to paint him as someone who was truly trying to do good, but the business spiraled out of control and he made some mistakes. This wasn't him trying to steal money. But we know exactly what he was trying to do. He's wanted
a tech guy. Sorry, Ben, to go finish your thought.
No. I mean, he was, yeah, exactly. And the prosecution made a case here that the most obvious thing that is you can't argue with is that SBF clearly wanted to make himself a political power player. Like, you can say that, he gave money away and he donated, yada, yada, yada. But one thing you can't deny is every move he made was in an effort to become a majorly powerful political player.
Right.
And, that's not really something that shows off that effective altruism.
Yeah, I just want to go through a few more of these because it's just fascinating to me. Focus on the fact that the Chapter 11 team has no idea how to run FTX. It's colonial, run by a cartel of lawyers. 7, come out as extremely pro-crypto, pro-freedom. 8, come out with a strong anti-Binance message. 9, go strong with a message of I have funding to make the customers whole. Fascinating, honestly. Like, I really...
Have Michael Lewis interview me.
on ABC.
Have Daddy Michael Lewis interview me, who was still. I wonder, Binder, do you know if he was in the family side of the Bankman-Fried court?
I'm not sure, but he was basically vouching for SBF till the bitter end.
That's hilarious because this is the guy who recently just was in the news for saying all of those incredibly racist things about the subject of his book, The Blind Side, Michael Orr.
I love this one too. Radical honesty on Twitter. Just explain exactly what happened in detail. Include gory details. So I'm like, okay, are we going to get some honesty here? Both about what happened and about the lawyer fuck-ups afterwards.
Right. Yeah. So... Sad days for SBF, but I think it was a just sentencing.
Yeah, I do think we should dwell on some of the analysis that was done earlier in this case. People being a little bit jumping the gun. James Medlock has this thing here, and you look at these like venture capital guys. Tom Fitton, who is president of Judicial Watch, while the Biden gang has been harassing and threatening Elon Musk and his companies, one of the worst scams in modern finance was being perpetrated under their nose by a regular White House Hill visitor and the second biggest Democrat donor. Elon says SBF was a major Dem donor, so no investigation. And just go to the James Medlock tweet.
This was back in November 2022, by the way, back when the FTX failed. So he was guessing he was making an educated guess, as the genius he is, back when this all went down, that SBF was going to get away with it. It was very clear to anyone paying attention that the second FTX went under, that SBF was screwed. There was no way he was getting out of this if you knew anything about what the actual allegations were against FTX. They were misusing customer funds to make risky bets in order to profit for themselves. They were not doing anything to mitigate the losses. They were not doing anything to let customers know what the money was, what they were doing with it, because they shouldn't have been doing it. It was illegal.
Yeah, right. I mean, the fraud was so obvious. It's just so incredibly clear that this is not above board. And I'm just, do you know, Binder, was it disclosed that essentially there would not be traditional financial protections for people giving their money into this exchange versus what there would be with, say, a bank, for example?
Right. I mean, I'm not sure what exactly FTX's terms of service were, but they certainly did not say that they were going to use those funds to, first of all,
risky bets. Yeah.
Right. Funnel them to a secondary company that basically speculates on the crypto market. I'm sure a number of people would not have left their money with FTX. This was a major exchange that people had trusted the same way they trusted major financial institutions that deal with fiat currency. The only problem is that there are no protections for these crypto exchanges that exist like they do for your traditional banking firm.
And I do think, while I make fun of the rush to make this about Democrats, I do actually think it probably should be about Democrats like Cory Booker, Kristen Gillibrand.
Yep.
Those people, when I hear about, again, we talk about the people who are scammed, the people who saw at the top of this bubble all the advertisements, all the senators from New Jersey and New York talking about how actually there's a lot of innovation in this space. We just got to make sure it's done transparently. And with all these industry buzzwords.
So clearly carrying water for the financial services industry that wanted to get in on this.
You talk about making it transparent, making it regulate or whatever. Those are all buzzwords that the industry just tells you, so you buy a worthless token.
Right. Exactly.
Or even Cynthia Lummis, the senator from Wyoming, who is a big crypto bug. Also, it's to me, it's a simple point, but it's sort of why don't you just help people get access to actual money in Wyoming as opposed to
she's a Republican. That's why.
Because the whole gang of legislators, besides a select few, are there for money for nothing and representing people that get money for nothing.
Yeah.
And so of course they're going to see another version of money for nothing and be like, yeah, I guess this is another constituency I need to support, especially Cory Booker.
Right.
Let's take
also, I want to mention that I one more thing to add here. SBF tried to argue, and I saw some reports that the customers who lost money with FTX, they should actually end up being whole again because, John J. Ray, the guy who took over FTX to clean up after they went bankrupt, the same guy who was hired to take over Enron to clean up there after Enron went under. He's been able to find significant FTX holdings that they still had. And that combined with the sudden surge in Bitcoin, again, should even out, and the FTX should be able to pay the people who previously thought their funds were all gone. One thing to note there, though, is because of how this all works, the value of those customers' holdings is valued at what it was when the legal proceedings began, when FTX went under, which was when crypto was starting to hit its very bottom. So they will not be getting all their money back. Some people will not be getting even a significant chunk of money because they'll be getting a percentage of whatever their holdings were when crypto was at its lowest, not now when there's a sudden surge and Bitcoin has hit new all-time highs. So that argument from SBF and his and I've seen some outlets cover it that way. Not true.
Yeah. Steve Austin says, question for Binder, will they prosecute the celebrities that were, we kind of, will they prosecute them, do you think?
I mean, if they haven't gone after him yet. I mean,
what happened with Shaq? Wasn't Shaq like avoiding?
He avoided a subpoena for like almost, I think, like 3 to 5 months because every time a process server got near him, he would either drive away or say that he didn't live there, or like someone would like. But he got in trouble too because someone at Shaq's home in Texas supposedly threatened a process server, so they finally were able to serve him.
Right.
I gotta go do ride-alongs with Florida cops.
Yeah. He was like, I this is not my brand. I'm not the one who goes to jail. I'm the one who does the ride-alongs. I'm not the one who gets charged with this stuff.
Yeah.
So far, the only celebrities that have been punished anyway for promoting crypto have been the ones that openly promoted scam tokens, ones that were so clearly skirting around, pump and dumps, ones that were so clearly skirting around what financial regulations for these things that do exist. Kim Kardashian basically had to pay, I don't remember exactly how much, like $1 million or something, and promised to not promote crypto for like a year or two or something like that. Because she promoted like a token that was so openly and obviously a scam. I mean, they'll take money for anything, unfortunately, some of these celebrities.
Or nothing.
Yeah, right.